Hey guys, this is Hothead. Today we're going to be talking about Xiao, and we're going to be talking about his sets he can use, the team comps, and his combos. So let's get started. Before we do anything else, let's start by talking about Xiao's kit. First, his normal attack, Whirlwind Thrusts, which performs up to 6 consecutive spear strikes, and his charged attack that performs an upward thrusts. So for an example, and then his charged attack. His E Wind Cycling is an ability that lunges Xiao forward dealing amino damage and starts with 2 charges, but if you have Constellation 1, it goes to 3 charges. So like so. It's just a basic dash. And his ultimate Bane of All Evil will greatly increase his jumping ability, increase his AoE and attack damage, and converts his attack damage into anemo damage, which can't be overridden by other elements such as Chongyun's E. As you can see, he jumps higher now. His attacks have a bigger AoE, including his plunge. Xiao's Tamer of Demons, which increases his damage based on how long he has been using the ultimate for. So it starts at 5, and every 3 seconds he'll gain 5% more for a maximum bonus of 25%. Xiao's second talent, Heaven Fall, makes it so when you use wind cycling, it increases the damage of the next wind cycle you use by 15%. And this can have up to 3 stacks and last for 7 seconds. So what you would do is you would dash through an enemy, and then if you dash through them again, you'll do 15% more damage. And Xiao's last passive talent, Gravity Defier, which decreases climbing stamina consumption for your own party members by 20%. Pretty basic, but can be helpful if you're climbing a lot. Now we're going to talk about Xiao's Constellations. C1 Destroyer of Worlds, gain 1 wind cycling charge. With this extra charge you can do extra damage and gain more energy particles. C2 Blossom of Kalidas, gain 25% energy recharge while Xiao is not on the field. It can be nice, but the problem is that most of the time you're switching to him to grab the energy particles to gain more energy than if you were to be off field. His C3 Wrath Deity gives 3 levels of wind cycling, which basically just means more damage. C4 Extinction of Suffering, when Xiao's HP falls below 50%, he gains 100% defense bonus. His worst constellation, basically it doesn't really do much for him. C5 Origin of Ignorance basically just gives him 3 levels of Bane of All Evil, which basically just means more damage. And C6 Guardian Yaksha, while using his ult, hitting 2 or more enemies with plunging attacks will give him 1 charge of wind cycling. And for the next 1 second, he can use wind cycling while ignoring its cooldown. TLDR, if you hit 2, 4, or 6 enemies, you gain 1, 2, or 3 charges of wind cycling. Talent priority, you want to go for normal attack for Xiao, because it scales better than his ultimate, which in turn means more damage. If you have C0 to C5, his wind cycling is last priority, since you're mostly going to want the extra damage from his ultimate over the dash damage. But if you have C6, your second priority should be wind cycling for the extra damage, since you use your dashes a lot while your ult is up. Bane of Evil is your second priority if you have C0 to C5 for the extra damage that it gives. For C6, it's your last, since plunge attacks and dashes end up doing more damage overall. To ascend Xiao, you will need Amino Fragments, Juvenile Jade, Chingsing Flowers, and Slime. For talents, you'll need Prosperity Books, you'll need Slime, and you'll need Shadow of the Warrior, which you can get from Child. Now first off, we're going to start with sets, so let's start off with the 4-piece Viridescence. So this I would not recommend at all. The 2-piece is really good, the amino damage bonus, which you want, but the 4-piece it just isn't worth it. This extra swirl damage you don't really need, and it's not beneficial. And the decrease in resistance, you usually want that on amino support anyway, like Venti or Sucrose. Next up is the 4-piece Gladiator. So 2-piece is 18% attack, which is good. The 4-piece set is pretty good on him if you are not doing plunge attacks. And I say if you're not doing plunge attacks because plunge attacks do not work with the 4-piece set. It's only normal and charged attacks, sadly. So go for this set if you do not want to plunge with him, but most of us want to plunge with him, so in that case I wouldn't go for it. Now just quickly will mention that the 2-piece Noblesse does not work with his ultimate, so do not go for it. Now what I think is the best set for him is 2-piece Viridescent, 2-piece Gladiator. The reason for this is it's easier to farm 2 pieces of Gladiator and Viridescent separately, plus the effect of just having extra amino damage and extra raw damage is just overall better than something like the 4-piece Viridescent, where you're only getting a little bit of swirl damage. In terms of main stats, what you want is attack % sands, goblet with amino damage bonus, and circlet with crit damage or crit rate depending on your percent. If you are having troubles getting his ult up, you could go for an energy recharge sands if needed. In terms of substats for Xiao, we're going to talk about from best to worst substats. We'll start with crit damage, crit rate, then attack %, then energy recharge, elemental mastery, attack, HP %, defense %, HP, and then defense. Now we'll go on and talk about Xiao's weapons. So the first one I'll mention is Deathmatch. Is really good because of its high crit rate substat and the effect of gaining damage depending on how many enemies are nearby. Next, let's talk about the Favonius Lance, which gives a substat of energy recharge, and its weapon effect is crits have a chance to generate a small amount of elemental particles, which is great for keeping his ultimate up. Crescent Pike isn't that good for Xiao because the physical damage bonus you aren't really using much because he's mostly doing amino damage, and the effect of picking up an elemental particle and then gaining an extra hit afterwards doesn't apply to his plunge attacks. Prototype Star Glitter is a no-go because of the effect of gaining normal and charged attack damage after using a skill does not work with plunge attacks, only his normal attacks. The Black Cliff Pole is really good. It has a crit damage substat, and the weapon gives damage based on how many enemies you have defeated. The only problem with this is it costs 24 Star Glitter and rotates out every second month. And finally, the Jade Spear, which is best in slot for Xiao. Gives a good crit rate substat with a lot of damage coming from that weapon passive. Now it's time to talk about combos. I'm going to throw up some math on screen about what combos do the most damage, but I'll basically TLDR it for you guys. First off, we'll be talking about combos that you only need C0 for. So to get the most DPS out of Xiao while not plunging, you want to do these combos. 1, 2, charged. 1, 2, 3, charged. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, charged. 1, 2, charged. Dash. 1, charged. Now when it comes to DPS, when you ult, doing high plunge attacks with Xiao would be the best. But if you want to use normal attacks in between, that is completely fine as well. So the combos for Xiao ult is pretty simple. So you ult, do high plunge, dash, high plunge, dash. You can animation cancel his plunges at the right time, so like so. You can see that I'm quickly jumping up faster than normal. Where if I were to do it normally, it would be like this. When you ult, you can actually reposition yourself by dashing and also jumping. If you dash after jumping, you can actually do a low plunge attack like so. Now we're going to go on and talk about C6 combos. So the best combo for Xiao C6 is to do this. Ults, plunge, dash, repeat. Just remember you want to dash depending on how many enemies you hit with your plunge attack. So for example, if you hit 4 enemies, you do 2 dashes. Xiao is selfish, so having a team that can support him is the best way to go. You could have an ult battery team that revolves around getting him and his ultimate charged up. So heroes like Venti, Sucrose, and Xingqiu would be best to quickly gain particles and get his ultimate up fast. Another team build you could do is build him around reaction damage while he uses his ult. Xingqiu, Fischl, and Xiangling are all really good at creating reaction damage while not on the field if you want to build Xiao around reaction damage. Characters that can make shields to protect Xiao while he ults are really good, so characters like Zhongli, Xinyan, and Diana all do really good at this. Before I show you some highlights of C0 Xiao, first I'm going to be talking about a few little facts you should know about building a team around him. You can heal while in Diana, Jean's, and Bennett's ult even when you're jumping and doing plunge attacks, like so.
Swear by my sword. Disappear.
So you see, I'll gain my health back even if I'm in the air. Beidou's ult, Lightning Discharge, can't jump between enemies from plunge attacks. Like so.
Evil conquering.
As you can see, no discharge is coming out and jumping between them. Xiao's ult can overwrite Chongyun's E and can overwrite Bennett's ultimate at C6. Xiangling's ultimate will stay near the ground even when you jump and plunge, like so. You'll see, it'll still stay at ground level, which makes it really good for reaction damage. And last of all, Xingqiu's ult will not work when you plunge.
Let me read your verse.
As you can see, it still won't trigger his blades. I'm going to showcase C0 Xiao on floor 12, chamber 1 without a Bennett or Mona. Let's go. This is what I'll be using for floor 12, chamber 1, C0 Xiao. A Deathmatch Refinement 3, 2-piece Viridescent, 2-piece Glad. I'll show the substats. As you can see, C0, talents 666.
Think you can get away? Let's play. Boba, get them. Evil conquering, worthless. 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 Here. Boba, get them. Evil conquering. Worthless. Here. Worthless. Worthless. Here. Here. Think you can get away? You're toast! Boba, get them! Evil conquering! Here! Here! Here!
I'm going to showcase a C4 Xiao with his talents leveled up on floor 12, chamber 1, without a Mona or a Bennett. Let's go. This is what I'll be using for my C4 Xiao with talent upgrades. So, Deathmatch, 2-piece Viridescent, 2-piece Glider Final, C, Constellations, which we shall activate now. 1, 2, 3, 4, and his talents 8. Technically it's 9 now because of my thing, and 7.
Time for takeoff. Yahoo! Nice and spicy. Disappear. Here. Worthless. Here. Boring. Worthless. Brace yourself. Time for takeoff. Boba, get them! Disappear! Here! Worthless! Worthless!
I would like to do a C6 showcase of Xiao, but I can't at the moment because I only have C4, and then I won't be able to pull for C6 until near the end of the banner. I hope you guys enjoyed my advanced Xiao guide. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe. I also stream on Twitch if you want to check me out there. Until next time guys, have a good one.